Hello, everyone. Today, I will tell you about one chapter from the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think this is a very powerful book that I had to read for my internship recently. And if you find what I will be talking about interesting, I think it will definitely be beneficial to read the whole book. The specific chapter of the book that I will be talking about is called Ways to Make People Like You. As most of us are graduating soon, or even if you aren't graduating, you are probably still looking into some job opportunities or internships. As chapter 6 in our textbook covered, most people land a job through networking. Okay, so networking is something we hear all the time. Network, network, network. Well, how do we network? This is why I chose this particular chapter because I think being likable is the first step to successful networking. So let's get right into it. This chapter talks about six principles that I will go into detail about. They are become genuinely interested in other people, smile, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language, be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves, talk in terms of the other person's interests, and make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. I will say this now, and I will mention it again later in the end. You have to be sincere when doing all of these. People can recognize that. So, the first principle is become genuinely interested in other people. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people to be interested in you. People like what they like. That's just a fact. Don't just take all the talking time to talk about what you're interested in. Let other people share what they like and what they're interested in. Find common ground where you can relate or expand the conversation on. This skill is not easy. It requires time, energy, unselfishness, and thoughtfulness. But if we want to make friends, let's put ourselves out to do and be those things for other people. Even something as simple as remembering the person's birthday and writing it down later to send them a happy birthday text can go a long way. Dale Carnegie talks about how he always asks people if they like astrology. A good amount of people do, so that would even be a great way to ask the person about their birthday. And furthermore, if they are interested in astrology, they will probably talk about it, which is something that they're interested in. Always greet people with animation and enthusiasm, no matter who they are. And always remember that we are interested in others when they are interested in us. So get to know other people and get to know them truly. All right, smile. So simple yet so effective. I'm talking about a genuine smile, not an insincere grin. A genuine smile is when you smile with your eyes too. Even when you are on the phone, smile because a smile can be heard through a phone. People who smile tend to manage tech and sell more effectively and to raise happier children. That is why encouragement is a much more effective teaching device than punishment. We react better to happier things. Action and feelings go together. When you even force yourself to smile, you will trick your brain into feeling happiness. And I also want to share this ancient Chinese proverb that was mentioned in the book. A man without a smiling face must not open a shop. So smile more. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Try the best you can to remember people's names. I used to be the one to say, "Oh, I don't remember people's names, but I remember their faces." After reading this book, I realized that I had to change that. When you meet people, ask them their full name, remember it, and use it more often because it makes the other person feel important. If it is an unusual name, you can ask them how to spell it and then repeat the name back to them to make sure that you have the correct pronunciation of it. In addition to the person's name, remember any facts about them or their family that they might have mentioned to you. When you do that, you not only help yourself by remembering their name by association, but next time that you meet them, you will not only call them by their name, you will also ask follow-up questions about something that they've told you previously that you've remembered about a situation that they were in or something about their family. So, yeah, by remembering their name, you make them feel important. Remember that and remember people's names. Be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. Active listening is one of the highest compliments we can pay anyone. People prefer good listeners to good talkers, but the ability to listen seems rarer than almost any other good trait. I mentioned this already, but I will say it again because it's so important. To be interesting, you have to be interested. Ask the other person questions that you know they will enjoy answering. In his book, Dale Carnegie talks about how he met a botanist at a dinner party one time. Dale sat and listened to him about what he does almost the entire time. Dale pretty much did not say anything to him, but he ended up praising Dale's conversation skills, even though Dale didn't really say much. But that just shows how important active listening is and allowing the other person to just talk about what they like. We had a whole chapter in this class about listening, so it might be a good idea to even reread that chapter and apply what you learned in that chapter to your life. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Talk about the things that the other person treasures most and is interested in. An example that was brought up in the book was that Theodore Roosevelt was complimented all the time on his ability to talk about anything with anyone. The truth is that Roosevelt spent the night before having guests over reading up on the subject he knew his guests were interested in or worked in. That way, the next day, when his guests arrived, he could talk in terms of their interests and was able to add on to the conversation because he knew the basics of the subject at hand. So, talk in terms of other people's interests. And finally, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. I love this principle a lot, and I think all the other principles are done really to achieve this. If you make the person feel important and recognize they will like you. The truth is that almost all people you meet feel superior to you in some way or another. And a sure way to their heart is to let them realize in some subtle ways that you recognize their importance and recognize it sincerely. There was a quote in the book that I really like. Every man I meet is my superior in some way, in that I learn from him. Nobody wants to feel like just another person. Everybody wants to be an individual who stands out. So help others stand out by recognizing their individuality, uniqueness, and importance in this world. To summarize, here are the principles from the chapter one more time. And like I said, I will mention this again. I think one of the most important things to keep in mind when you apply these principles in real life is to be sincere. If you're not going to be sincere and genuine when doing these, you might as well not do them at all because people can recognize that and people can see when you're being fake just to get something out of them. So you actually have to become all of these things sincerely and like other people sincerely, and then they will like you back. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know in the discussion if you've already applied some of these principles and you can think back on an example where you used one of them or multiple of them, or maybe if there's a situation where you thought you could have improved the situation by applying these principles. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that and have a great day, guys.